Hey everyone, welcome back. The stars have aligned and I am finally sitting down to record a video. You may or may not have noticed that I took a couple months off from YouTube, but that doesn't mean I have not been making. As a matter of fact, I feel like I've been making a lot of stuff and I have a lot to share today, so get cozy because I think this is going to be a long one. I'll save the talk for the end of where I've been these last couple months because I just want to dive right into all of the talk. I have 4 finished knitting objects to show you today, as well as 2 works in progress. I have quite a bit of spinning content to show you and a little bit of sewing too. But before we jump into all of that, I want to talk about what I'm wearing. I'm very excited because I knit this top, which is the Hey Sailor by Andrea Mowry. I was actually one of the testers last summer, and when I finished the top, it was like late September, and immediately we went into fall mode. So I wasn't able to wear this much right when I finished it, but since I had it finished at the end of the season, it meant that I have all warm season this year to wear it, and I've already gotten quite a bit of use out of it. This is a unique pattern. It's knit from the bottom up, and Andrea designed it so you could wear it with the buttons in the front or the buttons in the back. I prefer to wear the buttons in the front because I like the cardigan style look of it, but I do think it's really cute when people wear the buttons in the back as well. And the yarn that is used is Knitting for Olive's Cotton Merino, and I'm going to try to see if I can remember the colors off the top of my head. No, I don't. But I am going to list them in the description below because I have had quite a few people reach out and ask for the colors used because they want to make this same version. And I did make a modification to it. The button band here is technically using the contrast color when I think in the pattern it calls for the main color. So the main color is the Dusty Banana, which I think is one of the color names. Dusty Banana is this lighter Dusty Banana color. And I think that was the main color, and the main color is called for with the trim pieces. But I wanted to create a stronger, defined kind of frame around the pattern, so I decided to use the contrast color instead. And I don't think it required me to purchase any extra yarn for it. I think the yarn called for was pretty even between the two, and I didn't have to break into a new ball. It's been a while, so my memory escapes me a little bit, but I'll also put my Ravelry information down below because I do have all of that listed in there and somewhat more detailed than usual since I was a tester for it. The other thing I did, I had attached the buttons using an orange embroidery thread. I don't really know what possessed me to choose that color. All I remember was I was in a hurry to pack up a bunch of things to go up to my partner's family's land, and I brought all the materials to sew the buttons on. And as soon as I got up there, I'm like, this color is awful, but I needed to finish it before the deadline of the test, so I went ahead and attached it anyways. And I just didn't like the way that the orange poked through the buttonholes. I think it clashed and it didn't make sense with the rest of the colors. And I talked about this a while ago in one of my videos, and I had a lot of great suggestions because originally I was going to remove all the buttons and then reattach them with an appropriate thread color. But a lot of you were like, don't even bother wasting your time with that. Either just do a couple loops of that new thread over the top, or some of you even suggested just color it in with a Sharpie. So that's what I ended up doing because I figured that was the easiest thing to do first, and if it didn't look good then I would go from there. But it turned out really great. So I just took a black Sharpie and colored over all of the buttonholes. And I really like the way that it now looks. I think it blends in really nice, and overall it just makes the whole piece look better, and it makes me even more excited to wear it this season. So thank you to those who suggested that, because my brain didn't even consider that as an option. Okay, now I have a lot of finished objects to show you. Like I mentioned, I'm going to start with the one that I finished first and then work my way up to the newer finished items. So this one is probably very familiar to you all because I've been talking about it a lot these last few episodes. This is the Viburna by Fabienne Gassman from Laine Magazine issue 12, which I think was a winter one or a fall one, I can't quite remember. But I was immediately drawn to the texture of it, and I was intrigued by the fact that it was knit sideways. So you start with one sleeve and you knit across, and then you finish off with the second sleeve. I have already gotten a lot more wear out of this sweater than I was anticipating, given the time of year that I finished it in. I finished it, I think, about a month ago now. So, like, end of April, I believe. And yeah, we had a couple cold snaps here in western Wisconsin that allowed me to wear this sweater. It was like in the low 50s. And then I also went camping up at the North Shore in Grand Marais, Minnesota last weekend and got a lot of wear out of this there as well. And it makes for a lovely transitional piece between seasons because of its finer gauge. It's using a fingering weight yarn, and so it just makes a really lighter weight drapey fabric, which I think is really nice for spring and fall. The yarn that I used was a collaboration that I did with Blue Sky Fiber. They sent me the Woodstok Light, which is a fingering weight yarn, and the color I made it in is Rusted Roof. When I originally planned this sweater, it was actually back in the fall when I was picking out the pattern and the yarn for it, and I just envisioned this bright pop of red in the springtime. It kind of reminds me of poppies in a way, and I just thought it would be a more unexpected spring color, for me at least, to make a sweater in, and I really do love it. I think the fit is really great. It's definitely more of a boxier fit, which is usually my go-to. And the sleeves are a little bit more tight against my arms, but I like the dimensions, or I like those proportions for this particular style. I didn't make any modifications to it, except I did add more increases in the shoulder here to give it more length in the body. I was a bit worried about this being too short or too cropped, but it grew quite a bit with blocking, and now it's the perfect length. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. One thing that isn't like a huge issue, and it's definitely something that only I will notice, but somehow I managed to knit one sleeve quite a bit longer than the other, so you can see the difference in sleeve length. This is not something that would tempt me to go rip back and knit the other sleeve longer. I have no need to do that because when it's on me, they both kind of gather up by my wrists anyways. One might be a little bit more gathered than the other, but again, I don't think it would be noticeable to anybody but me. And it doesn't bother me the way that it feels when I'm wearing it enough to go back and fix it. So I'm going to just let this one live how it is and get a lot of great use out of it. This next finished object feels like one that I've been working on forever, and kind of I have. I started it last summer, and Well, then I started test knitting this, and it kind of took over all of my knitting last summer. And then it became fall, and I'm like, I don't really want to work on a summer project when it's about to be fall and winter. So I decided to just put it on hold and pick it up later. And it is this one right here. You might recognize this as well. It is the Ridge Sweater by Hiromi Nagasawa. I was drawn to this design because I really like the longer short sleeves on it, and I like the texture that is created with these ridges or the ribbing down it. I wanted a summer top that I could just wear on its own specifically to work. So not like a tank top that I would have to layer a blazer over or anything. I just want something easy to put on with just like a pair of trousers. And I'm really happy with this. I haven't worn it yet, and I also haven't even blocked it yet. I've been really busy. So I think I'll be motivated to block it after I film this so I can finally actually wear it. But I do like the fit of it even pre-blocking, so I know that I'll like it even better post-blocking. This sweater top feels very like architectural to me because the thick ribbing here kind of creates the raglan, but I just love the way that there's like a lot of ribbing here and then it's more dispersed across the body. I just think it's like a very visual treat to the eyes when wearing it. And one thing that I didn't like about knitting this is that it was all twisted rib throughout the entire sweater, but I do think that was necessary to get these ridge lines to really pop. I think if it was just a regular rib, it wouldn't pop quite as much as it does. So it was necessary, but it was a little bit of a pain to get through, and that's probably what slowed me down knitting it throughout the year anyways. I did end up cropping it a little bit. I have been trying to get away from more cropped items, but I also don't want something to fit over my hips. I want the tops to kind of stop before my hips start, so it kind of defines my waistline a little bit. So I did shorten it compared to the pattern, but I'll be able to wear this even with like a mid to low rise jean and it'll still cover up my whole torso. The yarn I used for this was another Blue Sky Fiber collaboration, but from last summer, and it is the Organic Cotton Sport. The color is Jasper. I have used this yarn before and I really liked it. I made the bandana tutorial out of this same yarn, but in the Caribbean color. And it's a very soft cotton, and I think makes a really great cotton for a garment as opposed to like a dishcloth. I don't think it's the type of cotton that would absorb a lot of moisture, but very nice to wear. It is quite a heavy garment because it's cotton. The fiber is just a bit more dense, but I don't see that being any kind of issue. I don't really see myself wearing this on really hot days, given how much it covers up. But like, again, at work when I'm sitting in the AC and stuff, I think this will be a really nice option. Next up is a pair of socks, and I apologize in advance because I have worn them quite a bit, so they're not in pristine shape, but I do have them on the sock blockers here. And these are a pattern that I made myself. I was going to release a tutorial for this sock pattern, but decided against it because I wasn't really feeling it. But I do love the way that they look, and I definitely would knit this pattern again. It's essentially just a plain knit sock, but I use the elongated herringbone stitch running all through, and also on the back for the heel flap. So I like the way that it looks, and I think it's a really great way to show off like variegated or color changing yarn, because you can really get the effect of the different colors in a different way in these herringbone stitches as opposed to just doing like plain stockinette stitch. The yarn that I used is from Farmer's Daughter Fibers Sock Squad 2025. So here's the little journal I got with it. And the colorway is Finding My Path, and it's in the Elkhorn sock base. I just loved the way that these colors blended together with the oranges and this like kind of marine blue. I just thought it was really pretty. And they used inspiration from Land and She, and this was the inspiration photo for the colorway, which I think is like very directly represented there. This next finished object was a little bit of a spontaneous cast on, and it is the Harlo Flip by Andrea Mowry. I decided to partake in the challenge that she had over Memorial Day weekend here in the US. And we all started on Thursday, and the goal was to finish it by Monday at noon. And I didn't finish it until Monday evening, but in my defense, I did have to rip back a little bit and restart it because when I first knit it, I knit it in a size that was just a little bit too big for my head. And I also would have ran out of yarn. Thankfully, I was able to finish it in the smaller size, and it also tends to fit better too. So the unique thing about this pattern is it's part of her classic Harlow hat line, but in the past, when you wanted a folded brim and you're knitting a Harlow hat, it would show the reverse color side of it. And this way she designed it so when you flip it up, it's the same color that you used for the rest of the hat instead of the reverse side of it. So with that being said, it is a fully reversible hat. However, I don't think I will be doing the reverse side because I did run out of the contrast color yarn that I was using here and had to switch to something somewhat similar. And it's very obvious on the reverse side, but on the right hand side you can't really tell because it's hidden in between the brioche stitches. I love the way that it fits on my head, and because it's a brioche knit, it's very squishy and very warm, and I'm really excited to wear this next fall. You might recognize the yarn that I used because it was from another Andrea Mowry challenge, which was the 3-ply 2-way challenge, where it was a spinning challenge where you spin up some yarn 2 different ways and then you knit a pair of socks with it. This yarn came out way more thicker than I would want in a sock, and I also realized I was going to run out of the yarn anyways and not even be able to make 2 pairs of socks. So it was an easy decision to use it in this hat instead, and I am so happy with that decision because I really do love the way that this hat turned out. And despite there being really bright pops of color in this hat, overall I think it's pretty subdued a little bit and will just be a fun hat to wear with a lot of different things. That is the last finished object that I have to show you. So let's move on to what I'm currently working on. This is yet another pattern that I started knitting last summer, but it kind of just fell to the wayside. I have been trying to focus on clearing off my needles. At one point I had like 8 works in progress and I felt very overwhelmed by that, and now I've got it down to 5, and I feel pretty good about that. And I'm not going to cast anything new on until I finish these 2 works in progress that I'm going to show you. So I'll just go ahead and show you what I've been working on here. It is the Snaraness Bandana by Gudrun Johnston. And this is in the Shetland Trader book here. I have made this bandana once before and I wear it all the time. I knit it in a more neutral color that had like variegated colors showing throughout. And I thought it would be fun to knit it in a dark color that was solid so you could really see the lace work showing through, especially against my paler skin tone. And I love the way this is turning out. I think I might knit this bigger than what's called for because I want to use up all of the yarn that I have for it. Not only am I trying to clear projects off of my needles, but I'm also just trying to use up the yarn that I have in stash because I would like to have a little bit less than I currently do. This is some sock yarn. It is from Valley Yarns, which is Web's or Yarn.com's house brand. And it's a superwash merino wool and nylon, and the colorway is Merlot. And I have two, I think they're 50-gram balls. Maybe it says on here. Yeah, two 50-gram balls. And so I plan to just knit until I run out of both balls of yarn. And if that creates a bigger bandana, then I'm totally okay with it. I also have worn it in the past as like a head scarf, which I think is really cute. But if I do end up knitting this one pretty big, I might not be able to wear it like that, and that's okay. But yeah, I'm having enjoyment knitting this, and I finally am to the point where I have the stitch pattern memorized and I don't have to stare at the chart the whole time, which always is a lovely accomplishment in a pattern. The next knitting project that I have been working on currently has my whole focus right now. I'm having so much fun knitting this in the lovely redesigned project bag. This is just my designated sock knitting bag now. It's just the perfect sock project bag. I am knitting the Furita Socks by In Her Skein, and Fiorita is Italian for flowery, right? Yeah, flowery. So here is how far I am with these, and I am having so much fun knitting these. I have the leg done, as you can see, and I just finished the heel flap and gusset this morning, and now I'm just moving on to the foot section of it. I was scrolling through the new patterns on Ravelry, and the moment I saw these, I was like, okay, everything on pause. I am casting these on right away because just how could I not? I love that unique flower pattern. And the best part is it's not color work in the round, so I don't have to worry about not being able to fit it over my heel. I already tried it on and it fits perfect. And the reason is because it's using the Estonian inlay technique where you carry the floats in the front here. And it is kind of like, I guess it would be considered like an intarsia in a way, but carrying the floats on the front. So since you're not carrying the contrast color all the way around, it makes it to be very stretchy and a good fit. And this just opened up so many ideas that I have, like creating my own chart of design to do this same Estonian inlay technique for future socks too. I think it's really beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, it took me to this fourth little petal here to finally work this chart correctly, but you can't like super tell because it's all symmetrical, and I mean, not everything is uniform in nature either, so I think it just adds to the charm of these socks if they're not perfectly knit to the chart. I did knit this using slightly different sock yarn and had to rip back because it wasn't going to work out well, but I used the same base. So the base is also from Sock Squad, and it's the February colorway, which is Luna Moth, and this is the inspiration behind that. And it did come with a contrast color. It came with this mini as a contrast color, which I think is so adorable together, but the pattern called for 100 grams of fingering weight sock yarn for this contrast color, which I think I disagree with because the yarn that I am using is 100 grams and I have like so much left. I think really this is only going to use 50 grams of yarn, but that's neither here nor there. I was knitting it with a different sock yarn that was the same consistency as the main, and it just was looking a little sloppy. And so I went to look at the original sample and noticed that she used a slightly more woolly looking sock yarn. And it kind of bloomed a bit more and filled in some of the gaps that are created by using this technique. It just needed a yarn that bloomed a bit more. So I decided to use this beautiful sock yarn that's from Karlie Paige Fiber Co. And she kindly sent this to me. This is the Pink Sand colorway, and it's 100% blue-faced Leicester. And I remembered that this yarn does have a bit more of a halo to it, and it blooms a bit more. So I decided to try it out, and I think it's a winner. I think the motif is looking a lot more filled out and striking against the contrast color here, or the main color. I'm having a lot of fun knitting these. I'm sure I'll finish this first pair by the end of the weekend here, and we'll move right on to the second pair. Part of me is like, when am I ever going to wear these? Because they are so stinking beautiful. I definitely am going to save these more for special occasions and for shoes that I'm wearing that will highlight this beautiful motif, because I don't want it to get all kind of like tattered just from wearing it in a pair of boots. So they're going to be more special occasion socks. I have a lot of spinning to show you because I've been really motivated to spin lately. It's kind of that time of year, I think, especially with Tour de Fleece coming up. I think I'm just revving up the engine for that. I'm going to first show you some skeins that I have completed, what I'm in the progress of working on, and then this one's going to be a little heavy on the acquisitions because I did go to the Shepherd's Harvest Festival in Lake Elmo, Minnesota, and bought a lot of fiber. Let's start with what I have finished. I left you all on a little bit of a cliffhanger last episode because I had just spun up a custom colorway for the Fleece Force team that Trisha from Yarn Jam dyed up based on some inspiration photos that Casey from Young Folk Knits and I sent her. And I'll go ahead and show you the skein that I spun up with the fiber. I wanted to spin this up right away to show off what the fiber looks like, and I did save one of the skeins to spin during Tour de Fleece with everyone else who purchased the yarn. She did sell these colorways at Yarn Centric last month, and I believe the pre-orders are still open for you to get these out in time for Tour de Fleece so you could spin it with Casey and I and the Fleece Force team. I spun this one up doing a chain ply. I've realized that's one of my favorite ways to spin up a combed top because oftentimes those tops have beautiful colors blended throughout, and I want to mimic that kind of gradient with the yarn that I create. So when you spin using a chain ply, it kind of keeps that gradient effect throughout the yarn, as opposed to like a barber pole look that you see in like the spin cycle types of yarns. So yeah, I think this is really pretty. I have no idea what I'm going to make with it yet. I'm going to kind of wait and finish to see how much yardage I have with it before I make any decisions on what to make. I will quickly show you another version of this same fiber, but she brought it to a mill and it's more in like a roving mixed with this beautiful more grayish tone of fiber. And I'm also going to spin this up during Fleece Force, Tour de Fleece. So I'm saving it for a special occasion. But yeah, that's all the Fleece Force. Next up is some yarn that I spun using my supported spindles. And it is fiber that I got last year from Shepherd's Harvest from Orchard Acres Textiles, who I don't think was there this year, which I was bummed out because I really look forward to seeing her fiber. I did go on a Sunday, so maybe she was there the day before and I just missed it. But this is using 2 different colorways that she blended up last year. And I spun it to make just like a combo spin. And it's just a 2-ply yarn. I do still have to wash and set these yarns that I'm showing you, so they're not like 100% finished yet, but you get the gist of it. I think this is really pretty. It was really fun to spin. That's the thing that I've found with spinning, especially on supported spindles, is it's not even about the final product for me or what I'm going to knit with it, because most of the time I don't know what I'm going to use it for. Just the act of spinning it up is so fun. Unless you try it, I don't think you would fully understand how enjoyable it is. Okay, so this next skein is also using fiber that I got last year at Shepherd's Harvest. This is kind of the theme. I'm like, okay, Shepherd's Harvest is coming up and I still haven't spun most of the fiber that I got last year. So if I want to buy more this year, I'm going to have to start working through what I purchased last year. So last year I bought 3 braids of this right here. This is 316 Dye Studio. And I knew that I wanted to make a sweater with this, but considering that I only got 3 braids of this, I knew I was going to have to combine it with another fiber for like a combo spin to get more yardage out of it. I was kind of having a hard time finding what I wanted to combine this with. Originally, I purchased online this other fiber that I'll show you. This particular dyer decided to close up shop, and so all of the fiber was on sale. And online, it looked a little bit different than in person, but here is what I bought. I think it's beautiful fiber. This is from House of Wool. And it's a blend of all different fibers. There's Rami, Shetland, natural, Cheviot, and linen. So, unique blend. But I don't think it would have meshed well with this. I wanted something a little more warm and neutral to combine this with. So I ended up getting this roving from this year at Shepherd's Harvest. And together, these blend a lot better together. And I'll show you the first skein that I spun up on it as well. So I'm spinning this on my wheel, and I'm spinning it woolen spun long draw. And it's beautiful. It's very lightweight. I really like the colors together. And my plan is to knit up just a super basic sweater with this yarn. I noticed that a lot of the sweaters that I tend to knit have some big design on it or cabling or something of interest. And I kind of want to knit a plain sweater, but I want the yarn to be interesting. So hand spun, slightly color changing yarn. I think this will make a very unique, simple sweater. So that's my main work in progress on the wheel. But I do have some other projects on my supported spindles. Before I went to Shepherd Harvest last year, I ordered yarn a couple months before that. So this yarn has been sitting in my stash even longer than the yarn that I bought from Shepherd's Harvest. So I'm like, I really need to work through this. And it is some fiber that I got from Little Fern Fiber Co., I think. She's also based in Wisconsin and has beautiful colorways. And so this is one that I bought. I think it's called like Swamp Witch or something. I really liked the name of it. And here is what I have spun up on my supported spindles. This braid was only 2 ounces, so it comes out to be about 50 grams of yarn. I'm thinking of just spinning this up as another 2-ply possibly to get as much yardage out of it as I can. And again, no idea what I'm going to make with it. I just enjoy spinning it on my spindles, but take a look at the colors here. So by the next time we chat, I probably will have these all plied up. And then I'm working on another spinning project on the supported spindles currently. This is fiber from the Finn Farm in Longmont, Colorado. My bestie, Kayla, lives in Colorado, and she sent me a beautiful birthday package last winter. It included this lovely fiber here. This drafts so beautifully. You can just see how easy it drafts, which makes for a really fun time spinning. And I can feel there's still a little bit of lanolin left in this, which just feels like butter on the hands. My hands just get moisturized as I spin with this, so who's to complain about that? But yep, I have about 2.5 spindles spun up with this yarn or fiber. I am on the fence of whether I want to do a 2-ply or a 3-ply. This is spinning up a little bit thicker, so I might just do a 2-ply, because when you're spinning on supported spindles, you're essentially spinning long draw, which creates a slightly loftier yarn. And yeah, just the joy of spinning this, even with it not being color changing, just with how easy it drafts and how good it feels on my hands, is a lovely time. And I'm really enjoying this fiber. I tried looking up their website. I wasn't able to find any website for this. I think my friend bought it from her local yarn shop that I visited, so I'll have to try to look that up and see if I can find where this fiber is from, because it would be nice to have access to buy more in the future. Okay, now for the fun of what else I got at the Shepherd's Harvest Festival. So I did buy this year. I got 2 balls, both like 8 ounces of fiber from that same vendor, which is Hidden Valley Farm and Woolen Mill. They're based in Valders, Wisconsin. I decided to finally purchase a bag of fleece. So this is what I got. How exciting. I finally did it. This is something I've been thinking about doing for quite some time. I did take the easy way out. This was pre-washed. I wanted to take baby steps into processing a fleece. I know that washing and scouring the fiber can be like a really big task, and that was kind of what was holding me back from purchasing it. So I'm like, why don't I just start with something that's pre-washed? I process all of that, spin it up, see how I feel, and then I'll kind of move into the future washing the fleece, processing it, spinning it. You get the point. Okay, it's CVM fleece and it's 2.96 pounds washed. I already started hand carding a little bit that I'll show you here. And I just think this is going to be some lovely fiber to spin with. I wasn't too picky on breed when looking. Again, this is my first time buying a fleece, so I focused more on what was calling to me. And aside from it being pre-washed, I just really liked the colorway of this. Just a classic sheepy color. And I'm guessing I'm going to knit a sweater from this once it's all spun up. And I already potentially purchased some fiber. I think my vision is to spin this up and then spin up a contrast color and do like a 2-color yoke, classic, almost Icelandic looking sweater with it. I'll go ahead and show you the fiber that I think I will do the color work with. One of the booths in the barn, one of the front ones, unfortunately I forgot the name of them, but this fiber really drew me to them immediately. I just thought this was so pretty. You can see the depth of the natural colors within it, and then they dyed this with indigo, so it's naturally dyed. And I just thought this would be so beautiful as a contrast color to this natural fiber. Again, no idea what sweater I'm going to knit. All I know is I want it to be some cool colorwork pattern. I'm sure I'll have a ton of this left over because I got 2 balls of this to spin with and they're about 8 ounces each. I purchased one more roving ball from the booth that I got the fleece from. I couldn't resist. It's some of the most beautiful fiber I've ever seen, and I kind of wish I bought more than one ball, but I was getting a little out of hand as it is. So here is that other ball of fiber that I bought, and I wonder if this will give me any information. Okay, this colorway is called Lemon Tree, and it's Coopworth wool and silk. And I think that's going to be really fun to spin. So a lot of spinning in my future. All of these big balls of fiber I intend to spin on my wheel since it's kind of like bigger quantities. And then for all of the comb top braids that I have, I kind of am saving those for supported spindle spinning. Okay, the last thing I bought from the festival, besides like soaps and hand cream, is this beautiful Turkish spindle. And it is from Snyder Spindles, who are based in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. I got a Turkish spindle on Etsy earlier this year, and I love spinning with it, and I just wanted to try another one from a more local wood turner, and I think this one will be a lovely addition to my collection. I haven't actually spun with it yet. I haven't had the opportunity, but maybe I will this weekend. One interesting thing about this particular spindle, and I'll show you how beautiful that wood is. It has kind of a greenish tint to it, which I thought was really unique and is what drew me to it. But this is made out of Vera wood, which they told me is the heaviest wood in the world. And if you could feel this, it's actually like way heavier than it looks, which I think will make for a very long spin time when I'm spinning on it. So I'm excited to work with this spindle here. Okay, we're almost to the end. I just have like 2 sewing related things to show you, and then we'll wrap it all up. First one is a work in progress. I started this about a month ago, and then again, life got busy and I haven't been able to sit down at my sewing machine since, but it is something that I'm actually making for Mitch, who's my partner, and it is a vest. And the vest pattern is the Billy vest by Merchant & Mills, using a wool blanket that Mitch got on a bike packing trip he went on last summer. And so it'll be kind of like a memento, and maybe he can wear it when he goes on that same trip again this summer, assuming he does. I'm so close to being done though. All I have to do is attach the buttons on the front and then finish the armholes here. But I really like the way it turned out. These pockets on the front I think are really cool. And I really like the buttons that I used too. It's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, I just need to get the motivation to pull the sewing machine back out and wrap this up. I don't think it'll take more than an hour to do, and then he can finally have it to wear, because he's been just having to look at it sitting in our dining room for like a couple months now. The next thing I want to show you is some fabric that I actually naturally dyed myself using an old bed sheet. I had this white linen bed sheet that the dogs just tore holes into. Unfortunately, I just like can't get linen sheets because between the dogs and Mitch, like somehow there always gets holes in them. But I decided I have made a blouse from the white linen sheet in the past, but I'm not like a huge white. I don't wear a lot of white. I just think the color washes me out a little bit. So I wanted to dye the other sheet that I had, and I still had a lot of natural plant dye pigments from Maewa School of Textiles left over from when I was dyeing up some yarn a few years ago. And I decided to dye the bed sheet, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. So I dyed this using sequoia pigments from the tree. And because of the way that I dyed this, I kind of shoved it all in a dye pot. It created a really cool, slightly tie-dye effect. It was not my intention, but it was a very happy accident because I'm kind of obsessed with how it turned out. It may be hard to see with it being all folded up. This is kind of a better look of it. There are some parts where the tie-dye is like, I don't know, the whole thing just turned out really cool. I'm really happy with it. And knowing that this started out as a pure white bed sheet and just how dark it got is always just amazing to me. My plan is to make a jumpsuit out of it. I want to make the boiler suit by Brigitte Helmerson from her Zero Waste Patterns book. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm a little intimidated because this one is like the most advanced pattern in her whole book. However, I've made a version of the bottom half and I think the top half already, so it's kind of combining the two in one. And I think it's just going to be a really cool way to use up this fabric. Oftentimes I'm a little hesitant to make or even wear one-piece jumpsuits like this, but I like the positive ease this has, and it also has an elastic portion at the waist that I'll be able to customize to fit my waist, and I think overall it's going to be a very good fit. But again, I've been a little intimidated with cutting it out. That's where it's to start. I will say cutting out zero waste patterns can be a little bit tricky, at least for me. I don't know why, but it is what I plan to make with this. And I really want to be able to wear it this summer, so I'm hoping to try to finally cut it out pretty soon here. So we'll see if I can hold myself accountable for that. That is everything that I have to show you. I did want to talk a little bit about where I've been because I feel like I disappeared and I didn't really tell anybody about it. We'll start with Instagram. I, like a lot of people, have been frustrated by Meta and just big tech in general for the obvious political reasons. And beginning in January, I was trying to find like different avenues for social media. And one day I just finally deleted the Instagram app off of my phone. I told myself I was going to check in from my computer once a week for messages and stuff, but that first week I didn't have it. It felt so good. And then another week went by and another week went by. And then now it's been like 2 or 3 months now that I haven't had Instagram, and it feels amazing. And it wasn't so much of an issue of scrolling and looking at other people's content. I really enjoy that aspect of it, but I won't lie, I tend to compare myself and it makes me not feel great. But it was more the contemplating or like the stress of creating my own content that gave me more of a problem for it. It really consumed me quite a bit. And to the point where like I got so overwhelmed, I had almost like a breaking point, and I thought I even had like a heart condition because of it, but really it was just anxiety and I had to adjust my medication. But ever since I quit or got off Instagram, my profile is still public, but my life has gotten like better. I feel like I have so much more time on my hands to actually make the things I want to make instead of saving potential things that I want to make in the future. And I've had so much more time to be out in my yard and all of these like organizational type house projects that have just been on the back burner for a couple years now. I'm finally getting around to doing it, and yeah, it's been like really great for me. So yeah, I don't see myself going back to Instagram anytime soon. I'll never say never, but I just wanted to let you all know, like in case anyone has reached out or anything, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not on Instagram. And then that kind of led into posting on YouTube as well. I was enjoying my time off of Instagram, and I just wanted time off of everything I just didn't want to create content for a while. And I think that was like a really healthy break for me. I love YouTube so much. I don't ever see myself quitting, not anytime soon at least. And I still really enjoy watching YouTube as well. So I like connecting in these long form content kind of ways. And I love connecting with all of you too. I truly do enjoy all of the comments that you share with me. I've learned so much over the years from all of you. I think like my knitting and my making has gotten immensely better than it otherwise would have if I didn't have this channel. So I really appreciate all of you and wanted to just say thank you. I hope you all are enjoying your summer if you're in the northern hemisphere and your winter in the southern hemisphere. It was really great to sit down and chat, and I really hope you enjoy this season.